There are people who prefer it hot. There are people who prefer it cold. Don't get me started about the people who prefer it temperate, because that's really all of us. All of us want it to be not too hot or not too cold. It's been a heat wave. And I just worked out. I just did my workout in my garage before starting this. And I gotta be honest, I feel like crap. So if I do pass out, you won't hear this. If you hear this, I'm okay, because I was able to recover enough to finish and upload it. Anyway, it's been 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks since I talked to you. It's been 2 weeks since I was here. A lot has happened. I'm so sorry I didn't join you last week. My partner had a summer flu, and when she goes down like for illness, I have to like double up. And it's really hard, you know. It's a good partnership we have going on, but man, when one of us is ill, the other one struggles. That's how it works. That's a good partnership. Awesome blossom. Now, we're back to normal. They're doing a bunch of tree trimming in my apartment complex right now. So if it sounds like I'm chased by a chainsaw at any point over the next few minutes, it's just a landscaper. I'm not in mortal danger or anything. Probably. Of course, if you hear this, I'm fine. So, but I was absent for a bit. I do apologize for that. Special shout out to Kery in Colorado, who basically sent me a message, said, "Hey, are you okay? I'm checking in on you." I'm okay. I'm okay. Yes, the world is still crazy. Yeah, I'm still out here duking it out. So let's get it on. Let's talk about firing people, I guess. I don't know. Welcome back to Trent Takes On 2.0. There was an original version of this show that was just Trent Takes On. And it was over 100 episodes. We're up to, I don't know, 50 something of this one. So all told, Trent Takes On has hit, 150 plus, 170, I think it is, episodes, something like that. Over 50 of which are available in this feed right here. There may come a day when I re-release all of the originals, which feature me telling stories about growing up in small town America. Telling stories about being in a band, and taking on all of the politics of the time, which was pandemic and directly post-pandemic. And the final episode of the original version of Trent Takes On was the Dobbs decision, where they basically said, the Supreme Court said that states could outlaw abortion. That was the last one, because I lost my mind during it, and I think my health went downhill right after that. It was bad. So I was not allowed to do that show for a while. So I did another podcast. I talked about Clippers basketball for a season and a half before, kind of the negativity of sports fandom and the backlash of having an opinion started hitting me. And I was just like, I don't need this shit either. I pay to do this. This is my hobby. I love this. It's why you'll never hear an ad on this show unless I totally sell out. And when I do, the first thing I'm going to do is say, hey, guess what, guys? I sold out. There's the ad. I don't monetize this thing. I pay for it. I pay for everything here. Yeah, it's fine. I enjoy it. I love doing this. I do it it's for me. It's for my kids. It's for my friends and my family who listen to it and say, bro, you can't be saying that shit out loud. And I say, yeah, well, I say it regularly, so I might as well wear the t-shirt. You know what I mean? I've gone to the concert. I might as well own the t-shirt. So I am what they would call a real progressive. I'm not afraid to flex my First Amendment muscle to say that I am displeased with the people in charge of my country right now. Everybody that I voted for won their elections. except for the one at the top. Damn it. So anyway, it continues. The Mad King continues to do Mad King shit. There was this weird moment over the weekend where everybody thought he had like died. And it's just like, I opened the door and I went, no, it's still hot and there's no rainbows and the birds aren't singing. So he's obviously still alive. He hasn't gone anywhere. He's still trying to distract us all from the fact that they continue to protect the Jeffrey Epstein client files. What happened to those poor girls, now women? Oh, dear God. Will that shit ever come out? I think it will. If I had to guess, it will. It may take a lot of strangling, but it will, and I don't think it'll come out through the normal means. Like, I don't think it'll be like, here you go. The Department of Justice has decided to come clean and just give it to you. No, it'll be like somebody saves it all on a couple of flash drives and hands it over to the New York Times. Oh, anyway, they'll keep protecting and it'll keep being an anchor around their neck, and deservedly so. But that's not what I want to talk about. I was sitting on the couch with Emily, and she mentioned that they fired a whole bunch of people at the CDC. Wait, they tried to fire the head of the CDC. She said no. Then only the president can do that because RFK Jr. tried to fire her for disagreeing with him on vaccine policy, which is a fucking shock that he doesn't like vaccines. It's his brand. So the doctor that they had put in charge of the CDC a month before said, no, I'm not going to go along with a study that says something that's not true. It's not how science works. I'm not going to do it. I owe an oath to the people, an oath to the Hippocratic Oath, which says you shall do no harm. And anyway, RFK fires her, and she says, no, you can't fire me. Only the president can fire me. And then the president was like, well, fine, sure, she's fired. And 4 very high up members in the CDC quit in solidarity, saying that they can't be a part of this anymore. Basically, they were trying to bring awareness to the fact that an anti-science, non-medical crackpot is damaging our public health in a way that may not be reparable before the next horror show happens. In fact, he may be creating a horror show by opening the door for things like what happened yesterday in Florida, when the Florida, what do they call it? Surgeon General of Florida. Yeah, the guy in charge of the Florida health. Anyway, they have decided they're going to ban all vaccine requirements for public schools. I mean, here's a fun fact. In 1900, the year 1900, 125 years ago, 31% of all deaths in our country were children ages 5 and under. Today, 125 years later, 0.7% of all deaths are children ages 5 and under. Now, that still feels terrible. That is 7 children for every 1,000 deaths die. And as a parent, you think, fuck that. That's fucking crazy. But it is a tragic truth. But think about 31% of all deaths being children under 5. That's what it was like before medical technology got to where it is today, including and especially because of vaccines. In the last 125 years, we have done away with multiple extremely dangerous diseases through the use of vaccinations for public health reasons. And this modern war on, not on vaccines, but on expertise, on things that they don't understand. If I have to hear one more of these fucking crackpots, like the Surgeon General of Florida say, I want to control what goes in my body. I want to know what goes in my body. Motherfucker, if you're eating processed food in this country, you don't have any idea what's in your body. And when you are dying, when you are laying on that hospital bed, on that gurney in the ER from a horrible accident, do you want the doctor standing around going, I wonder if he wanted us to, I don't know, fix his insides? You want to know what goes in your body when you get into a horrible accident like that? Sometimes it's somebody's hands. It's scalpels. It's those forceps things. It's the surgery that you don't fucking understand. And they pump you full of all kinds of medications so you're not, I don't know, fucking awake during it. You can't love medicine and science when it's convenient. You have to believe in a world of facts. Otherwise, you're just making shit up. And you are empowering the least educated and least intelligent among us to not only remain uneducated and unintelligent, but to celebrate their foolishness and to endanger future generations because of it. When some other kids don't get vaccines, and that level rises to the point where you no longer have herd immunity through the vaccine itself, you're going to see instances of those diseases start to spread and multiply and become a problem. Take case in point, measles. We have the largest measles outbreak in the United States in 50 years going on right now. No, it's not always a deadly disease, but it is very, very painful and it does have long-term effects. The hatred of the COVID vaccine continues to cost us lives. We don't talk about it anymore, but people are still dying from COVID and COVID-related long-term effects. It's not the vaccine. The vaccine is what keeps the illness from becoming acute and killing you. And I'm not a doctor. But I am somebody who reads a whole bunch of shit. And I read from reputable places. And they all seem to have the same thing in common. Vaccines work. And do you know why you can tell that vaccines work? Because of that 31% of deaths being kids under 5 versus 0.7% today. Diseases like measles and rubella, whooping cough, polio, eradicated or diluted to the point where they're no longer a public health pandemic. We don't have to fear those diseases because we vaccinated them into the shadows. And these people want to do away with science. And that's a problem. And my partner, Emily, says to me, I think they're firing everybody. He wants to fire everybody who's smarter than he is. To which I said, that means he's going to be firing everyone. Everybody attached to this regime is a bootlicking sycophant who refuses to speak truth to power, who just goes along because they think there's something in it for them. They go along because to be on the wrong side of Trump is to be on the wrong side of his moron militia, the Gravy Seals. They don't care about the law, so they can disappear whoever they want. Here's a good example of not caring about the law anymore. Just not giving a shit entirely. Just don't fucking care at all. Tuesday night, the United States Navy used a cruise missile to hit a tiny boat with 11 people on it. Now, the regime is claiming that it was a bunch of narco-terrorists, which, is that like a bunch of people who put drugs in a bomb and then blow it up in a public place? Narco-terrorists. They're saying they were drug dealers that were bringing drugs to the United States. That little boat that they were on might have had an effective range of 200 miles, best case scenario. And they were like 2,000 miles from the southernmost tip of Florida, off the coast of Venezuela. So what they just did was murder 11 people that they suspected of drug running, which is a non-capital offense, without a trial, without even checking to see if their intelligence was right. And they did it with no authorization, under no authorization. They used United States military might, paid for by you and me, guys, our tax dollars, pay for our military. Rah, rah, rah. Well, they help. They help pay for it. They used our military to attack what they claim are drug runners. They can't prove it. They blew up the boat. They have video of that. And they're so proud of it that they posted it. The Mad King posted it on his social network. Look at me. I have ordered that these drug dealers be killed with the United States military. We are not at war with Venezuela. Only Congress can declare war. What authorization was used to murder those 11 people? And the answer is they don't have one. And they couldn't think of one. They were still working on it on Wednesday morning. So what you just saw there, what they just did on Tuesday evening, that's Thursday now, was the extrajudicial killing of 11 people, Venezuelan nationals, that had that happened to us, had the Venezuelan Navy shot a yacht with 11 Americans on it, claiming that, well, we had information that they were running guns to Venezuela. We are within our rights. No, you wouldn't accept that. Venezuela shouldn't accept that. We, the American people, shouldn't accept that. I do not want our military running around blowing up people who we don't actually know who they are without trial. They are the judge. They are the jury. They are the executioners now. That is how little respect they have for the law. Everything I've said this so many times on this pod. If you listen to this pod, God bless you for bearing with me through these difficult times where I keep saying shit like, that's illegal. The tariffs, those are illegal. Yep. Federal court, appeals court, shot them down saying that they were illegal, and they get to stay in place until October while the Trump administration gets their poop in a group so that they can appeal it to the Supreme Court. So we continue to be taxed at a higher rate on imports, and by we, I mean you and me, because we're the ones that are paying it, because the wheels of justice move as fast as they feel like making them move. A tariff is a tax. Only Congress can impose taxes. Donald Trump is implying that there's an emergency of some sort that allows him to put taxes on whatever he wants. No. And the law is really, the Constitution is extremely straightforward on this. They have lost these tariff battles at every single stop, but they continue to push forward on them, saying things like this country would cease to exist if we didn't have tariffs. No, that's just not fucking true. It's a ridiculous straw man argument. We're going to make shit up and force you to push it down. They don't have any real reasoning behind the tariffs, except that's the way Donald Trump thinks things are supposed to work. And it doesn't work anymore. not in a globalized economy. We are 50 years removed from that shit being even remotely effective. The time for tariffs is done. The time for trade is now. Because in a trading relationship, which is what we have with other countries, everyone benefits. But he doesn't give a shit about that. He doesn't care. All he cares about is being, quote unquote, right, and he's not. But I told you the tariffs were illegal, and they'll go before the Supreme Court, and this is one of the very rare places where they might side with their corporate overlords as opposed to their political overlord and actually tell him, no, you can't do this. Because who's the one responsible for this lawsuit that's trying to stop the tariffs? It's actually the remaining Koch brother. Charles? Anyway, the tariffs are illegal, aren't they? How about the Alien Enemies Act? That just got shot down in the Fifth Circuit, which is the most conservative. It's Texas, by the way. It's Texas and Oklahoma. It's the most conservative of the 13 circuits in the United States. Shot down the Alien Enemies Act as an excuse to deport Venezuelans to whenever they. You can't just skirt due process. You can't go around due process. That's what these rulings are. Alien Enemies Act. Can't deport people from North Texas anymore. That's when they went all the way to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, well, no. See, for you guys can keep deporting people, and we have to hear these cases from each individual district. We can't just do that was the one where they shot down nationwide injunctions and said they have to come up from every individual district, which is whatever. It's been crazy. This is insanity. They fire everybody that's, smart because there's a war on expertise. They can't be told no. They ignore rules, laws, the Constitution, whatever stands in their way of doing whatever they want. This is the Mad King and a bunch of people propping him up because they control him from behind the scenes. Donald Trump doesn't give a flying fuck about anything. Realistically, he's just a rich dude that wants to be richer, and he knows he's getting richer if he just listens to all these fuckos tell him what to do, and then he does it. I don't think he really gives a flying fuck at all. He hates it that people hate him. Of course, that's the problem. If you run around not caring who you hurt, you're going to hurt people, and those people are going to end up, not liking you. This is a difficult time, and we deserve better. We deserve better pushback. We deserve people who actually adhere to their oath of office, because an oath of office that you ignore is worthless. If you don't follow your oath of office to defend and uphold the Constitution, to do your duty as a duly elected person, you were chosen to do that. You were chosen to take and uphold that oath. And if you fail to do it, what the fuck is the point? All of these Republicans who just go along with absolutely anything he does are breaking their own oath of office. He should have been impeached dozens of times already. He should have already been removed from office. Fuck it, she should have been removed from office. The very first impeachment, when he shook down Volodymyr Zelensky over dirt on Hunter Biden. I'm going to withhold weaponry from you until you get me that dirt. Fuck. We never should have had to get this far. But it's all temporary. Okay? It's temporary. This guy's 79. He eats like he's a college freshman at the University of, Kentucky. Maybe that's too fancy. Something a little less fancy. Middle Tennessee State. People in Tennessee are going to be pissed at that. He eats like a college freshman, like a kid who doesn't know any better. And he's got a fast food job and he eats there 3 times a day because it's the cheapest thing he can get his hands on. He eats like somebody who has ramen or what do you call those things? Macaroni and cheese. My kids love it. All the time. Like, he just doesn't give a shit. His diet is fucking terrible. He drinks Diet Cokes, like, apparently to the tune of dozens a day. It's so bad for you. And his health is poor. Doesn't take good care of himself. He plays golf, but he rides a cart all the time, so it's not exactly exercise. You would be better off playing bowling, just bowling all the time. Yeah. That's not real exercise. So he's not immortal, okay? And he's slipping. And his health is bad. Remember, I started out talking about how, like, for the weekend, there were all these rumors like he's dead. No, he can't hang with the schedule that he has anymore. He can't do it. He's not strong enough to do it anymore. That's one of the things that happens to us all. It'll happen to me. It'll happen to everybody. You will reach an age, if you're fortunate enough to grow into old age. I'll just put that caveat on it. You'll reach a point where you just can't do the shit that you used to do. Sometimes it's the shit you used to do 20 years ago. Sometimes it's the shit you did 5 years ago. Sometimes it's the shit you were doing 2 weeks ago. You'll hit a point where you just can't do the shit you used to do. It's okay. It's called getting old. It's no fun. I fucking hate it. But it's better than the alternative. We can do better. I say that all the time. We have to continue to point out how illegal all of these things that he continues to do are. For example, troops in the streets of L.A. Violation of the Posse Comitatus Act. You cannot utilize the United States military to perform domestic police activities. You can't do it. It is not legal. There's a reason for that. Because of the exact thing that he's doing right now. And now he's got troops in D.C. D.C. just sued him today. Thanks for getting your shit together, D.C. The problem is D.C. doesn't have state rights. It's a weird, exists in its own little bubble, the District of Columbia. It's not really a state. And Donald Trump has more authority in D.C. than he does anywhere else in the country to control what goes on in D.C. But D.C. is not completely helpless in this situation, so they're fighting back. Good. He's also talking about sending troops into Chicago. That's his big thing. The governor and the mayor of Chicago pushing back immediately, saying, don't you send troops here. We don't need them. They only exacerbate the problems. And Donald Trump will point to the fact that we're having an extended period without a homicide in D.C. because we've got troops on the streets. Yes, an extremely expensive troop deployment that has simultaneously caused crime to drop, but also economic activity to plummet to nothing, because it turns out the United States of America and the people in it do not want to live in a police state. We do not want to live in a place where we have armed military personnel just cruising down the street every day, all the time. We don't want that. And they know it. Not they, the regime. I don't know what they know anymore. I think that they're all too busy with their heads up each other's asses. The D.C. Guard, the people who are there performing these police duties or sometimes just picking up trash in the park, know that they are not wanted there. It is fucking terrible for the morale of our armed forces to know that they are being made the enemy of the people by this madman in the White House. Brutal. Brutal truth. They will lie to you. They will straw man you, the regime that is I'm speaking of now. They will distract you. They will do anything they can to light a new fire, a new shiny object. Right now it's crime and drugs. We're fighting a war on crime and drugs. anything to take away from the fact that their tariffs are destroying the economy. Destroying the economy. Their immigration policy is destroying the workforce and is unbelievably unpopular. Even people who didn't like immigration before this have seen the face of it and said, not okay. They tried to deport 600 children to Guatemala last weekend before a judge stepped in and said, no, those children deserve due process. And that judge is right. Every person on American soil gets full due process. Fact. Your rights may be different, but the one that isn't is due process. You have a right to face your accuser. You have a right to have the claims against you adjudicated in a court of law. That's due process. You have the right to push back against the allegations against you, to defend yourself in that court of law. That is due process. And those kids were being denied their due process, thrown on a plane, and taken to a place that they've probably never lived because this regime is racist as fuck. Or AF, as the kids say. In the parlance of our times, racist AF. Because that's what they are. This is an immigration policy built on racism, on classism. It's disgusting. It's vile. And it's horribly unpopular because we don't like that. America, by and large, is filled with people who live in survival mode, yeah. But we don't like to see our friends and neighbors live in fear. See, I'm a white guy. But my friends and neighbors aren't all white. I have many people of color who are my closest friends who have to live with the specter of this hanging over their head, even if they're legal citizens, even if they were born here, even if they were naturalized citizens, because it's always there, the sword of Damocles hanging over your head. They're going to pick you up, they're going to take away your due process right to defend yourself, and they're going to deport you to a place that you've never been in your life. Can you imagine what it's like to live in that state of terror all the time? I can't. And I don't want to talk about it with my friends because it's such an uncomfortable conversation. And I don't want to make them more uncomfortable than I'm guessing they already are. All I can remind them of is, I'm here for you. I am your ally. I will do anything I can to help protect you. Know your rights. Don't open your door unless they have a warrant. Don't do it. Anyway, the worm is going to turn. Things are going to change. You see the cracks beginning to form. You can see the prices at the grocery store are really starting to be affected by the change in the labor force that's available to put produce on the trucks. You know what I'm saying? The prices in the grocery store are really starting to be affected by the tariffs on other countries that they're having to pay to bring things into this country. The importers of everything from coffee and bananas to electronics. It's not great. People are waking up and they're becoming more and more angry. And like I said, I think it was 2 weeks ago. I don't know. Maybe 3. If there is another free and fair election in 2026, these guys are going to get fucking slaughtered because their ideas are unpalatable. The policies are even worse. The American people fucking hate this stuff. Troops in the streets, inflation out of control, no jobs to be had. This is brutal. This is an exact duplication of what happened. No, it's not exact. It's real similar to what happened in 30s Germany. The economic stuff happened here in the 70s when Nixon basically steamrolled the Federal Reserve Board to slashing interest rates during a time of inflation. And that was in the mid 70s, and it caused stagflation where our unemployment was high and prices were high at the same time. And Jimmy Carter was tasked with fixing all that in 76. And because he couldn't do it in 4 years, it was like, we'll get this guy the fuck out of here. And Ronald Reagan came in, and everybody forgets this, but the first thing that they did was they shot those Federal Reserve rates through the roof. Interest rates were sky high, and it drove us into an immediate recession, massive recession. But that was the only way they could get prices to come down. That was the only way they could recalibrate the labor force. Whew. All caused by the same thing that Donald Trump's trying to do with the federal board right now. The federal bank's board, he tried to fire a governor and her name is Lisa Cook, first black woman to ever be a governor on the federal board. He fired her for what he calls cause, which may have been a paperwork issue from before she was a federal board governor. So she hasn't done anything wrong in the job. It was for a paperwork thing from years past. This is something that has happened. It happens a ton. He's got this dude named Bill Pulte out there digging through everyone's mortgage history. That's what he's doing. He's in charge of home loans and mortgages in the United States federal government. And he's using that position to hunt Trump's enemies. They have filed, what do you call them? Department of Justice criminal referrals against Adam Schiff, Senator from California, Letitia James, the Attorney General from New York, who has held Donald Trump accountable multiple times, and they've done it against Lisa Cook now. Yet we know that Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton has been accused of mortgage fraud on 3 separate occasions of a much higher magnitude, and Pulte says, I have no knowledge of that. Oh, you don't, huh? You gonna look into it? No. Because he's an ally of the president. We've seen the weaponization of the federal government against critics of the regime, opponents of the regime. If you're listening to this, you're angry. You're angry like I am, just as angry as I am. And it's really hard to have these discussions with people who don't see things the way you do. But we need to have them, and we need to be as chill as we can while having them, and just stick with the basics. How do you feel about the higher prices that we're paying? Because we are paying much higher prices right now. No one can deny that. Electricity prices are about to be out of control because also the regime has declared war on green energy. How could you hate solar and wind energy? How could you hate solar and wind energy, which once you get it up, it ends up paying for itself? Oh, that's right, because you're in bed with big oil. Anyway, how do you like those prices that you have to pay? How do you like the fact that there are troops in the streets of America? Really? You dig that? You like living in a police state? You like the weaponization of the federal government, the Department of Justice, the IRS, the HUD, Housing and Urban Development, and the fucking guy who's in charge of home mortgages. You like the weaponization of all those against the enemies of the president? You like that? You like the big tax cuts for the mega millionaires? Because they did all that. You can't even argue with those things. Do you like them just blowing up boats off the coast of Venezuela? Because they can, and then bragging about it? Why'd you do that? Well, they were drug dealers. Is that a capital crime? Is that even punishable by death? No, but, we want to send a message. You know what that makes you? A terrorist. Yeesh. Anyway, there's a lot of shit going on, and it's going to continue to go on. And we're going to continue to try and live our lives the best we can and raise our kids the best we can and try to keep everything as normal as we can under our roofs while the rest of the world is crumbling around us. And that is a lot. There is another No Kings protest coming up, October 18th, 2025. We will be there protesting. Please find the protest near you and be a part of it, because there is nothing like surrounding yourself with people who are just as mad as you are to make you feel like we've got a chance. And we need that juice, baby. You need that juice. And October 18th, if we can get through that one, right around the corner from that is the off-year elections in New Jersey and Virginia. We could be looking at some real positivity, some real momentum to end this year. But it starts with all of us doing our little part. Stay true to yourself. Don't fall for the distractions. Don't let them trick you. Don't let them straw man you. You can be outraged about all of it at the same time. Everything from the Epstein files to them extrajudicially killing boatloads of Venezuelans to them trying to deport 600 kids in the middle of the night on a holiday weekend. That happened. For them weaponizing the federal government against critics of the president, from them putting active duty troops on the ground in American cities. There's plenty to be outraged about. Hang in there. Things are changing for the better. May not feel like it right now because we're getting pretty close to the bottom of the barrel. But there's about to be only one way to go, and that's up. Thank you for sticking with me through this entire, I'm hot right now. Oh, man. Hey, good news. I did not pass out during that 42 minutes, give or take. I did not pass out. I feel okay. I think I need to eat. Thank you once again for listening. Share this with a friend. Please share me. We have listeners from as far away as New South Wales, Sydney, Australia. We have listeners in Frankfurt, Germany. Actually, in the world of VPN, those could be my neighbor just VPNing around the world. But I'm going to pretend that it's actually somebody in New South Wales. I think it's somebody really in the city of Sydney that listens to me and is like, yeah. But I've got global listenership. Probably. I don't know. VPNs are weird. But I do appreciate your time. And if you share this with someone, that makes all the difference in the world. Because we're in this together, right? I'll be back with you soon. I'll try not to take any extended time off. I don't plan on getting sick or having anybody else get sick anytime soon, because it's really hard to keep up with the house. And then there's all kinds of crazy shit that goes on, and you never know what's going to happen. But I'm going to try to be back soon. In the meantime, please be kind to each other. Be good humans. It's the very least we can do. Until then, love you.